It's a hydraulic ram? No.
Nope.
It's a chain driven?
Nope. It's called a Whitlock drive.
Do you have a ladder that goes there to get
Yes.
to that companionway?
In fact, it's
Oh yeah, right there. Wow.
So behind the ladder, the green strapping there holds our scuba tanks.
I didn't know you guys were divers.
Yep,
Yeah.
Patty, that was one of the requirements when I met him that he had to learn how to scuba dive.
it's a
Really?
prenuptial requirement.
Really? Wow, so
Yep.
you really love scuba diving. How long
Oh,
have
yeah.
you been diving?
I got my first certification in 1970. I thought it was so much fun, and I thought it went with sailing, so I said, well, you got to learn too. The scuba tanks are not just for fun, they're also for maintenance on the boat,
Yep.
underneath, to check things and so on. It's really handy for when you're doing the boat. I have to scrub the bottom or something so you don't have to come up and down and snorkel. You
Yeah.
can do it that way, but it's exhausting.
How long would it take with just snorkel versus scrubbing
2
the hull
days.
with
Versus an hour and a half or 2 hours.
2 days versus an hour and a half?
2 days.
Yeah.
2 days, 2 hours.
Yeah.
It's your choice.
And we have we carry aboard a
Hookah.
hookah.
Oh yeah. What is that?
Leave the tank right
Um,
there.
We don't even take the tanks out of the strap. Hook up, take the hose through the companionway, and I can go 40 feet, which
Wow.
Actually,
that's
50.
enough.
Did a lot of diving in Bonaire because we
Yeah.
were there for a while. We dove every day, just about.
And we had good dives just dropping off the transom. The shoreline just goes.
Yeah.
You're
It's-
required to moor. It's not safe to anchor, so you
Right.
have to pick up a mooring. And when when your bow's pointed to the shore, your stern is in, I don't know, 80 feet of water or 100,
But your bow's in like 30 feet.
because you're right on a reef wall.
So your boat and home becomes a dive boat.
Yeah.
Sure does.
How much did it cost to stay on a mooring ball in Bonaire when you were
They're
there?
pretty expensive.
$20
or
$20 a
25
night.
day.
$20 a day. Is there
Yeah.
a monthly or seasonal rate?
Not that we found.
I don't know. We didn't stay there that long. We were only there a couple weeks, which was expensive enough.
Yeah.
And then we moved on to Curacao where we could anchor.
Curacao has a beautiful, beautiful city, Willemstad, and a great market because the Venezuelan fishermen and gardeners come by boat.
Bring all their stuff into the market, and their boats are tied up to the bulkhead all along in the city. And you just one right after the other, all these boats, and they have all the fresh vegetables and fruits and fish and octopus and everything else laid out there.
Venezuelan boats?
Yep.
Yeah, Venezuelan
Really?
boats
They,
there.
they come from Venezuela to
Oh, yeah,
Curacao.
it's not that far. It's right there.
Oh, what's that?
Oh, that's the Autopilot.
Oh, the Autopilot brain.
Yeah.
Aye.
And I don't. She probably can't show you the drive.
Oh yeah, underneath all of that on the quadrant.
Yeah.
It's a hydraulic ram. No.
Nope.
It's a chain driven.
Nope. It's called a Whitlock drive. It's entirely mechanical. Has a pancake motor, which means it's small. A whole bunch of gears. They drive an arm. At the tip of the arm, it will develop 1 ton of force.
Wow.
So, on this boat, we can swing the rudder 30 degrees at 13 knots. That's what I wanted. A lot of drives are undersized because you can't really size them based on the length of the boat.
Mm.
What you really need to know is the amount of force that is required to turn the rudder. That is only a function of the size of the rudder and the boat speed.
Aye.
Doesn't matter how big or small the boat is, how much the boat weighs. They use those numbers to do a quick approximation because they assume that the designer's going to do a certain size rudder for a certain size boat, etc., etc. But if you calculate the resistance of the rudder at some angle. And he chose 30 because the standard autopilot goes plus or minus 30 degrees on the rudder. That was another issue. I wanted more rudder travel than that. So we actually had to have less leverage at the rudder post to accomplish more travel, which means we needed more force. And we were getting to about a 3-inch diameter ram.
Yeah.
When he
Huge.
said, maybe you should try a whitlock drive. I said, what's that? You know, and so here we are.
Wow.
And
Right there.
that's the whitlock drive.
Wow.
So this is the arm, obviously, that swings.
Nothing hydraulic
Nothing
about
hydraulic. The gearing must be straight cut. It tends to be a little bit noisy. That's another reason we don't sleep back here underway. If you ever do a below decks autopilot, Edson sells this nice bronze bracket, and they will pre-drill it for you. And the normal centers are out here. This is, I believe, 8 inches off the rudder post.
Yep.
But if you want to have more rudder travel than plus or minus 30, you either need to have a very long ram, it might like stick out through the side of your boat,
Yeah.
or you need to shorten this up. When you shorten it up, it requires more force. That was the beauty of this drive. It's very compact and produces enough force that I could shorten up here, and we have 90 degrees total, plus or minus 45.
Yeah.
It was calculated to be able to steer the boat at 13 knots. So that's when you want the autopilot to take over
Yeah,
for you
in
storm conditions.
Storm conditions.
You want it to be able to handle.
When we got serious, you know, before we moved aboard to do long-term cruising, we decided we got $3,000 to spend. What do we want? Wind vane or an autopilot? Autopilot.
We figured the autopilot would be worth
Autopilot
more.
works all the time. Wind vane only works when there's wind. So, so the downside is you have to feed the autopilot.
What does it draw?
I can't really give you a number in amperes because it's intermittent, but I think we probably use, we're underway, close to 200 amp hours a day.
In 24 hours of steering.
Not steering, but everything, you know, computers,
Oh, yeah.
radio,
The boat.
Refrigeration.
refrigeration,
Yeah.
all of it. This old galvanized thing, it came with the boat and it was on deck. This was the original tiller.
Oh!
Slips right out, he says.
That's an emergency tiller.
It is now.
There it is.
This fits right there.
Right there. Well, me, you never have to use it.
I hope not.
But I like that it's ready to go. It's right there.
Yeah, it's where you need it, and in the old keep it simple philosophy. When I put this in here, well, when I bought the boat, the rudder post extended through the aft deck.
Through the berth.
Oh, wow.
Right in the middle.
Oh, yeah.
Neville used a wind vane steering, which was a Hassler
Blondie Hassler.
wind vane.
Yeah.
Blondie Hassler invented vane steering.
Did you usually have crew when you were sailing offshore? Just the two of you?
Never.
Wow. What was
Actually,
that
I
like?
don't know that we've ever had crew on a passage.
Nope. Never.
Really? Just the two of you? Wow.
You know, the beginning passages we didn't. It was so cold we could only stand 2-hour watches. We'd go down below to get warm. It was so cold coming from New York down to
Yeah.
Cape May. It was So 2 hours, that was it. That's all we could stand. So we've tried 2s, 3s, 4s, and 6s.
Wow.
And 6s are best.
24 hours a day, 6s?
No, it's loose in the daylight
Yeah,
at night.
Basically 2 watches, right?
Yeah.
We do
6
roughly
and,
6 to midnight and midnight to 6,
Aye.
or in that neighborhood.
and then it's loose.
Yep.
I'm up. He's asleep.
Aye.
6 at night till midnight. At midnight, I get him up.
Aye.
And he's from midnight to 6 in the morning.
Wow.
I get up, we have breakfast, do the radio work, and then he goes to bed for a nap.
Wow.
He gets up for lunch, we eat lunch, I take a short nap, and we have dinner, and he goes to bed. And that's over and over again.
What was your longest offshore passage?
Just from Beaufort down to the Virgins, the normal run.
Yeah, what's that, like a week?
A little longer, 15 days if you have a slow passage.
Oh, 15 days from Beaufort
Yeah,
to...
for a slow passage, it could be as quick as 9.
Oh, yeah.
We were 11 and a half.
Wow. Oh,
So that's, yeah, I mean, you're talking almost 1,500 miles. If you did the rum line, it's going to be shorter.
yeah.
We have
but-
a friend who did the rum line passage on his
Really?
Dickerson 41
Yeah.
in 8 days, wasn't it? 8 or
And
9.
that was really, really
From
quick.
Beaufort to the Caribbean?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, he was flying.
St. John.
So he didn't get his easting out in the beginning. He just went
straight
straight
and was able to the whole time.
that worked for him.
Yep.
Yeah.
He wasn't.
Sometimes it works.
If you're
Doesn't
lucky.
always.
Yeah.
Doesn't always.
So if you have some Easterlies to start with, and you're a gambler,
Yeah. When are you guys planning on actually going on your next big sail, big voyage?
I don't know how long it'll take. The ideal situation would be that we'd be able to leave next spring. And I would like particularly to head north, to go to Nova Scotia, Newfoundland area.
Wow.
And
Well, I can be your advanced scout.
that's right. It would be perfect. Absolutely perfect. Like to get the reports.
Absolutely.
And then go that route. From there, Don and I've had discussions. He'd really like to go to the Med, and I'd really like to go to the Pacific. So I don't know. I guess we'll have to flip a coin. He wants to go to the Med because it sounds really cool, and it does.
Yeah.
It sounds great. But the reason I want to go to the Pacific is because the runs are a little longer, and I'd rather not wait till we're older to do that. Do it sooner rather than later. I think the sailing in the Med, with the I'm not sure I'm going to pronounce it correctly, Meltemis, Meltemis and so on, can be pretty vigorous, but you've got to have more endurance to go do the Pacific because you have longer passages, which may be fine because Neville said that when he left the Galapagos on this boat, he had 2 weeks at a beam reach.
2.5 weeks. No, 2 weeks, 5.5 knots.
Wow.
As on a beam reach. I mean, how terrific is that?
Never trimmed the sails.
What is your cruising speed or hull speed or what do you average?
We plan on 5 or 5.5. We do better than that usually, 6.5. We have learned, this will be of interest maybe to your subscribers, on this boat, if we motor at 5 knots, we use 5/8 of a gallon an hour.
Of fuel.
If we motor at 6 knots, we use 1.5 gallons an hour.
Wow, what a difference.
So backing off the RPMs makes
So
a huge difference.
We've spoken to people. One gentleman had a new Beneteau, and the diesel mechanics told him he needed to run the engine hard, loaded is what they really mean. And he decided he needed to run it at pretty much full throttle, and he was using like 2.5 gallons an hour, going 8 knots or something.
Yeah.
And we said, well, hey, try 5 knots. We got an email from him later, and he's doing like a,
3/4 of a gallon.
3/4 of a gallon an hour, and he's just like overjoyed.
Oh my God, I had no idea. Well, thank you so much for the wonderful tour. I absolutely love this boat. It's been wonderful to see all of these simple, elegant modifications. I'm really thrilled to have seen. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thanks for the compliment.
Thank you.
It's fun.